I'm Lorii Abela, your host here at Matchmaker Secrets, where we talk about love, dating, and relationships, and of course, matchmaking. I would imagine there had been instances that you have heard the word polyamory or like any other language that they use in order to because I heard that there are many kinds of them. So there's different kinds of words. We had a therapist before who has described all of this. Now I don't remember now, but we have a special guest tonight we're gonna be talking to her about this kind of relationship. And so our guest tonight is Tia Ng, and she is a she, her, hers. Is a biracial, bisexual, atheist, leftist who enjoys creating spaces where people can safely and authentically be themselves. When she isn't working full-time in a restaurant, she enjoys getting tattoos, taking pin-up photos, and going on dates. So how are you, Tia?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. So thank you so much for joining us. I know it's the last minute that I have actually asked her to join us. So for a lot of people who are watching, because we try to be open as to a different kind of relationships over here. That's the reason why we invite everybody. And so can you tell us, as an individual who identifies herself as like a polyamorous, so can you tell us what does that mean for you personally? Because I heard there are too many kinds of them.
Sure. So I don't exactly identify as polyamorous, but I identify as ethically non-monogamous. Mm-hmm. And I feel like ethically non-monogamous would be an umbrella, and polyamorous is like under that umbrella. Mm. And so ethically non-monogamous means that you are able to have like your partner and other partners, and then that definition can be absolutely whatever you want the terms to be. So my understanding of polyamory would be that you also have emotional relationships with multiple people, when I would prefer to have an emotional relationship with like one primary partner, but don't mind the physical relationships with other people. So it just depends on what people want to make of it. But it's fun to be in community with other people like that. So I'm always just meeting new friends and just exploring, even like learning what that looks like for other people, so it feels more normalized for myself.
Okay, and so when did you decide that? I'm just wondering.
I feel like I have often thought about ethical non-monogamy without knowing what the words were, because I think it feels like too much pressure to expect one person to be 100% of everything for you. Because sometimes you're like, oh, well, I wish you were taking me out to more dinners. Oh, I wish you were doing this and that for me. Like, I think it's okay to be like, this person they're still someone I love, but maybe they can't fulfill all my needs, and that's okay. And then you can go to somebody else and be like, well, I also really care for and appreciate you, and I want to spend time with you doing X, Y, Z.
So how do you separate the emotional part?
Trauma? I don't know. To me, it's just easy. I don't like have set expectations for people, and so just whatever I can experience with someone, I'll like enjoy it with them without having this like putting them on a pedestal or thinking that I need so much expectation out of somebody else.
Okay, and so what do you call that? I'm not sure, obviously if you are having a lot of these people in your life, so I would imagine there's some drama, no?
There can be, but one thing that I do appreciate about ethical non-monogamy is that there's a lot of communication, because as opposed to like unethical non-monogamy would just be cheating. You're doing something behind your partner's back, or you're doing things outside of the terms of your relationship. Where at least in an E&M relationship, then you're talking to one another and communicating what those boundaries are, communicating what you've may or may not have done with other people, just whatever the terms of that relationship are, you're able to communicate that in a healthy way. And sometimes it may not always be healthy, and sometimes you'll like deal with jealousy and this and that, but it's at least a good way to practice being kind to one another and just being open. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And so it involves men and women, right? It doesn't matter. Like you.
some people can, it doesn't matter how people identify in their terms of their sexual orientation, but for me, like, I am bisexual or omnisexual, so that means that I'm open to people of any gender, but people can still be straight and be in an ethical, non-monogamous relationship.
Oh, okay, all right. So, like, there's a lot of different things going on over there, right? It's a grocery store over there. Too many things going on. And so, so how do you, how do you navigate that? Because, like, obviously people don't really understand what's that. Like, do you have to always explain yourself, like, oh, this is what it means?
Sometimes. At least in terms of different dating apps and things, like I'll use an app called Field. That one, there are more people who are ethically non-monogamous on that app. And so you don't have to explain it each and every time. So if you know what outlets you want to search on, then it'll make things easier that way. But even like on Tinder, people may put in their bios like, oh, I'm E&M or whatever, and maybe you'll have to explain something, but at least if it's out there, then it makes it a little easier to find somebody else who's on the same page as you.
Okay, and so what do you call that? Does that really help you, like, using this specific app so that you can find other people?
Yeah, I mean, it helps me some. It makes it much easier to be closer to what I want to find, even if I don't find my person yet.
Okay, all right. So what do you call that? So are you saying you're not in a relationship right now, or are you in a relationship right now?
I'm currently not in a relationship, but I'm like talking to some people, but like casually.
And so because like I'm not sure, like, is it also difficult to find somebody? Because, like, we have, I have a lot of guests, like, they're saying, like, dating is difficult. And so, like, I'm not sure, like, for that particular specific, orientation, is it also difficult?
I wouldn't say it's difficult just for that reason. No, I mean, but for me also, dating is literally one of my hobbies. Like, I love meeting new people all the time. I love getting to know what makes a person who they are. And so I just go on dates all the time, and I try to have conversations and see what happens, and yeah.
So what advice would you give to those people who are trying to navigate their own identities, particularly, like, like somebody like omnisexual?
It's important to authentically be yourself. Yeah, in general, but even like on a first date. So before, like, I used to be like, oh, I have to like present myself a certain way so I can be so perfect on the first date so they'll like want to meet me again. But also, like, why do you have to fake being who you are? Like, just be authentic and be open. And if they like you, and they'll go on another date. But if not, then at least you're not wasting your time on somebody who doesn't really know who you are.
Okay, so I have another question for you. Because, like, not sure, like, how did your parents actually, took that particular idea that, oh, hey, I'm this and this?
I haven't told them any of those things.
You don't
No.
even tell them, so they have no clue.
No.
So what do you think will there be, what can happen if you tell them?
I don't know. I think they just wouldn't really get it. But I used to work for the National Queer Asian Pacific Islander Alliance, so working with LGBTQ API people, and but I always identified as straight when working with them, and I had friends in the community who were like, Tia, how can you still identify as straight and work for a queer organization? And so, I don't know, maybe some people still believe that I'm straight, but I don't know. I just try to be who I am, and you can interpret it as you please, but I'm going to do what makes me happy regardless.
I understand that. I'm just wondering because, like, we're Asians. And so, like, the parents are concerned about, their children. And so, like, I'm sure they just want you to be safe, though. Like,
Yes, exactly. So one thing is that, like, my mom really wants grandkids.
Oh.
And I'm the oldest child, and she's like, well, why aren't you married yet? Why don't you have kids yet? But now she's kind of come to the fact that I do not want to be pregnant. I do not want children. I don't mind possibly adopting or fostering or something else down the line, maybe, but I have cats, And my mom has now acknowledged of like she has grandkitties. That's all she's got.
So she's not pressuring you anymore to have children.
Not really. She's kind of like past that point, which is good for me.
Is the pressure now in your next siblings?
Yeah, but also my brother is single too, and he has a cat. So she's like, okay, these are my grandcats. That's all I got.
Okay, all right. And so how is it working over there? Like, do you think like you became much more identified once you work with that LGBTQ organization?
Oh, yeah. I've been able to meet a lot of amazing people, a lot of people who are into social justice and racial justice and immigrants' rights, and who are doing a lot of different things within their communities, whether as like volunteers or as paid jobs. Like there's a lot that goes on, and it was really nice working for this national organization to learn about different tactics across the country and how people were working.
Okay, and so like, moving forward, like, maybe you are 50s, 60s. Do you think like you're going to be staying as identifying yourself as that, or are you going to be evolving in something else?
Oh, I guess I have no idea. Maybe I could be something else once we get more words to describe what we are, but I'm content with where I'm at now.
Yeah, because like, like they just like sprouted. Okay, too many things going on right now. Okay, all right. So what you call that? I wish that we have more time, but thank you so much for being over here. And then what you call that? For the benefit of those people who are watching, if you are single and wondering how do you navigate love, dating, and relationship, or are you an expert in the industry, or if you have a relationship already and you want to impart your nuggets in order to help other people who are wondering how they can find love, so just give me a holler so we can invite you over here. And then thank you again for being over here, and we'll see you soon.